Well, a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Adam's Podcast Live. I hope you're all well. Thank you very much for joining me. On today's show, I have a very, very special guest. The legend himself, Mr. Darren Day, will be here telling me all about his entertainment career. If you would like to ask any questions to Darren, then please put those questions into the comment section and I'll be able to show them to him. So before we bring Darren onto the show, let's remind ourselves about what we know him for.
It's quite as pretty, yeah. That's my Mary in the morning. She's chasing her rainbows and her dreams so far away. I said nothing's quite as pretty, yes, my Mary. Thank you so much. I put the words and the melodies together. I am music and I write the song. Give me a song. The summers die one by one. How soon they fly on, and I am old and will be gone. Bring him peace, bring him joy.
Disappoint with a performance that had them dancing in the aisles. But the most emotional moment came when he invited Sir Cliff onto the stage for a spontaneous duet of Summer Holiday.
Thank you, good night, and God bless you. Thank you so very much indeed. Thank you.
And here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome to the show the legendary Mr. Darren Day. Good afternoon, Darren. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. I do like the legendary word. I prefer that to veteran, which I seem to get quite a lot in my reviews these days. I'll take legend over veteran, really, but that was a lovely intro. Thank you.
You're very welcome. How are you?
I'm all right, really, mate. You know, I think this lockdown has been hard. I mean, I know it's been the most crazy year ever, but it feels like it's just going on and on, this lockdown, you know, and I don't know if it's because it may be the weather. I mean, we had a good day yesterday, but obviously last year we had sort of heaven-sent weather for that time of the year in the UK, which made that lockdown easier. But obviously, you know, we've been going through this for a year, and if I'm honest, I'm a little bit stir-crazy, really. But as we all are, so like you, I'm just looking forward to getting back to work and getting back to some kind of normality, you know.
Absolutely. Now, I do have loads of questions to ask you. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, according to my research, you started your career when you were 17 and you were part of a comedy trio. How did it all begin?
Yeah. Now, that's very good research, because the trio is not really ever talked about, really. But listen, my entry into the world of show business was so unorthodox. I turned professional in the world of snooker at the age of 17, and I played snooker for a year and a half professionally. I'd played since I was 11, and I won. I got through to the final of the British Under-16s and the semi-finals of the British Under-19s, and it was my life, really. I sort of had the epitome of the misspent youth, you know, down the snooker club. So then it's very strange. So Alex Higgins, who was an incredibly famous and popular snooker player, was coming to do a PA and playing 9 frames of snooker with different members of the club. And Alex had a little bit of a drinking problem, bless his heart. and he turned up a little bit the worse for wear. It was my job to sober him up. So I spent 2 hours putting coffee after coffee down him, but he still only played 5 frames. And so there was sort of 45 minutes of a show that the audience had paid money for that wasn't going to happen. So I'd done impressions and stuff since I was a kid, and it always was something just to entertain my mates at school or my mates down the snooker club. So I got up and I did a little spot. And from there, me and 2 of my pals, one of which is still my best mate in the world, we formed a trio, and we did theatres in the club circuit as a trio. And then, bless them both, they felt like they wanted to send me out on my own, and they entered me for Opportunity Knocks. Bob says Opportunity Knocks in the 80s when Bob Monkhouse took it over. And I won it. Well, I won 2 heats and came 4th in the final, but it was a great profile raiser. So for the next 4 or 5 years, I was a vocal impressionist. And Joseph really just sort of came along. I was, what was I, 24, 1993. And I went and auditioned for Joseph at the Palladium with hundreds of other people, got a recall the following week in front of Lloyd Webber. And 3 days later, I was given the gig. And it just changed my life. And it just sort of sent me down that direction, particularly musical theatre. And the first night of Joseph, Nigel Lithgow, who was the head of entertainment at ITV at that time, came back and offered me a 3-year deal with Saturday Night Television. And 5 minutes after that, Simon Cowell came back and offered me a 3-year deal with RCA Records. And this was sort of, it was mind-blowing. It just changed my life in a way that I don't think any other theatre job could have done at that time, because it was such a huge show because of Jason and Philip, so it was a weird way to sneak in, via snooker. It's incredibly unorthodox, but that's how it happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen you've been part of the West End for a very long time now. What's the best part of being in the West End? Is it seeing your name in lights, or is it something else?
Now, that's a really interesting question, and I kind of halt on saying what I would like to say, in case it sounds a bit conceited or superficial. But when to begin with, at the early part of your career, when you do see your name in lights in the West End, it's an incredible buzz. And the three that stand out for me, Joseph, obviously. I remember myself and my ex-manager, we drove on the Sunday night before I opened on the Monday. My manager and I took a drive into the West End, and we just looked, because we knew Philip Schofield's name had been up there on Saturday. And we sort of waited, and we went sort of late Sunday night, and I saw my name up at the London Palladium. And if I'm honest, I cried a bit, because it was such an incredible thing. I went to see Morecambe and Wise at the London Palladium when I was 5 with my grandfather, who was in the industry. He was a support act for George Formby, Laurel and Hardy. So it was such an amazing sort of dream come true. The other two for me, so Joseph wasn't in lights, it was a little design, but the 2 names in lights that I remember thinking, wow, this is just a dream, was Copacabana, which was at the Prince of Wales, and it was yellow neon, Darren Day. And then when I played Danny Zuko at the Cambridge Theatre, it was pink neon. And look, I can't say it's not a lovely feeling to sort of stand there and see your name in lights in the West End. It was, without sounding too cliched, it was a dream come true for me. It really was. Yeah.
But you absolutely loved it.
I mean, it's hard not to love it, but there's that prestige of playing the West End. But if I'm honest, really, Adam, I used to really enjoy the tours a little bit more. And I think that's because, going into the provinces, and when you take a show to the provinces, I don't know, the audience, dare I say, sometimes in the West End, the audiences can be a little bit quiet, you know, maybe sort of don't get up and party. But when you go to the regions with a show like Grease or Summer Holiday or Joseph, one of those sort of feel-good shows, the reaction is so much greater from the audiences. And so as much as I enjoyed and loved the Prestige and was very grateful for playing the West End, my kind of love really was touring. And I think most people would say that it's a very, very different experience performing to a West End audience as opposed to performing to a tour audience, you know. So, yes. But look, I'm a lucky boy, mate. You know, Joseph came out of nowhere. I was my nickname at the Palladium was Darren Who, because I think everyone was expecting some bigger star than. You know, the story of Philip Schofield takes over from Jason Donovan was huge. They were both massive profile. So everyone in the West End was thinking that they were going to bring some Hollywood megastar over to make the story a bigger one. And thank God for me, Andrew decided to go with the unknown kid. But, you know, I mean, listen, my mum failed to recognize me on some days at that point. So to suddenly get this gig, it just changed everything. And I'm so grateful to Joseph, because I honestly believe that without that, I would probably be on a kind of building site somewhere in Essex, truthfully, holding bricks around probably.
Wow. Now, I've seen a Facebook video you did a couple of days ago doing a tribute to the legendary Bobby Ball.
Oh, yeah.
And for those of you who haven't seen it, here's a little clip of Darren doing this tribute to Bobby Ball.
Cheers, Ed.
To Bobby Ball. It's for you, mate. Laugh me a laugh, grin me a grin, and then I know that we can win. Dance me a dance, joke me a joke, and blow the clouds away. You gotta play me a tune, sing me a song, and we can help push life along. Just you and me, come on and see, together we'll be okay.
Oh, mate, thanks for
absolutely fantastic. Now, have you worked with Bobby Ball a lot? Have you got any stories you could tell us about working with him?
I mean, God, I've known Bobby. I think Bobby and I first met early to mid 90s. I certainly know we knew each other. I remember that we were very familiar with each other in summer of 1997 because I was doing Summer Holiday in London, and the cast and I went on to do a promotion thing on the Generation game when Jim Davidson hosted it, and Bobby and Tommy were there. And I remember sort of sitting down with him, talking, like we definitely knew each other well by 1997. As a kid, look, for my generation, as a kid, Friday night, I think around 7, if my memory serves me correctly, you know, Cannon and Ball had the big primetime show, and they were as big as anybody, certainly any duo has ever been in this industry. They were huge, and I used to absolutely love them. And I just thought they were amazing. So when I got to know Bobby, it was quite a buzz for me, you know. And we bumped into each other a few times over the years. I worked with his sons, Rob and Darren. We did a pantomime together, the Harper Brothers. But then Bobby and I got back in touch with each other when, bless my late great mate, Joe Longthorne, that first video that you showed of me performing was when I stood in for Joe. He was very poor. He was about to have an operation on his throat, and he asked me if I could step in and do his summer season for him and take the tour over. Anyway, my first night, Bobby was in. I didn't know, but he came backstage afterwards, and he said to me, I'll never forget. He said, "I didn't want to come tonight." He said, "I've been dragged along by the missus because I thought you were going to be Michael Ball all night or Cliff Richard all night." but I did my act, you know. I went back to basics, obviously, because I was stepping in for Joe. I went back to impressions and the stand-up act, you know, a couple of West End songs thrown in. And he was so complimentary, Adam. He said, I'm so glad that I came. And to get complimented upon a stand-up act by Bobby, it was just like, it meant the world. It still means the world to me. And I just absolutely loved him. The last time I saw him was at Joe Longthorne's funeral. But it was over the last few weeks, you know, I guess everyone's been watching box sets and Netflix, you know, stuff. And
Yes.
Myself and my son are a massive fan of Not Going Out, where Bobby plays Lee Mack's dad. And I thought he was fantastic in that. But over the past 2 or 3 weeks, my fiance and I have been watching a thing called Mount Pleasant, which Bobby was in. And, you know, his pathos and he was a really, really special actor. And I found myself wishing that I could call him and tell him how good I thought he was in Mount Pleasant, which obviously I can't do. So I know that that they're trying to raise money for a statue for Bobby at the moment. And
Yes.
so I decided to I wanted to share all the details of the GoFundMe Just Giving page. And I thought, I would love to sing that song for him. You know, I think it's such an amazing song. And I think if we only ever watched Cannonball in their show, you only get a verse and the chorus of it. But actually, it's a great song all the way through. And it was incredibly impromptu. I didn't know I was going to do that until 2 hours before. I just thought, yeah. So I went and had a shower, set the phone up in the kitchen, and just did it. But it had such an amazing reaction. And I did ask Yvonne, Bobby's wife, before I did it, if she minded. To which she said no, she'd like me to do it. So, yeah, I really, really loved him, mate. And I just think he's one of those kind of one-offs, really, where he had the incredible ability to own a stage, but also when he went onto camera, he adjusted because it's such a different technique, you know, from being on stage, where the performance has got to be bigger, you know, to get out there to the audience.
Yes.
And when you come to do camera work, it can be tough to go from theatre to camera, and the other way around, I guess. But because the camera, you know, when there's like a close-up of you, any movement or expression you do is big. He just adapted so well to going from stage to screen, and I just thought he was amazing. And I genuinely really, really miss him. And I would love to see that statue happen for him.
Yes, absolutely. Now, we do have a comment come through from the brilliant Tommy J. Rollinson. Lovely to see you, Tommy. Thank you very much for tuning in. He says, hello, dear boy. Darren Day is the most talented man I know. Him and my dad working in Panto was magic. Great comedy together. He was the best Hook I've seen in Panto. He is a true professional. He is a legend of an entertainer. And he is a beautiful man inside and out.
Man, my heartstrings are being pulled upon this afternoon. Thanks, Tommy, mate. Yeah, I've known Tommy, Lucy, their mum, their amazing dad, Sean. Yeah, Sean and I did a pantomime together in 2011 in Worthing. He was Smee, and I was Captain Hook. And I mean, Tommy and Lucy at that point were young, but now both Tommy and Lucy, Sean's children, are both in the business. They're both incredible. I mean, they're just a lovely family, but they're a very talented family. Sean is an amazing, really amazing, you know. And we shared a dressing room in Worthing, the two of us, and we had such a laugh. But no, they're great, and that's a lovely message, Tommy. Thank you so much. So I appreciate that. I love you all very much. Thank you.
Now, another question I want to ask you is that you were a Butlins Redcoat.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
How was your experience of that, and which resort were you at?
I closed Barry Island, I think. I'm pretty sure that I'm right in saying that the year that I did it, the following year it closed. So I've always kind of joked that I maybe put an end to Barry Island. but I think we're talking about, it was definitely before Opportunity Knocks, and Opportunity Knocks was 88. So it was either 86 or 87. But it was Barry Island. It was an amazing experience. And I know we all hear things like this from people like Shane, my pal Shane Ritchie, because he was, I think he was a Blue Coat, wasn't he? But it's such an amazing grounding and foundation, because, you know, you get the chance to work on your act, work on your people skills. And it was an amazing season. Other than when I arrived, the fact that the clothes I had for me, the white trousers, flared trousers, well, I would say literally between my knee and my ankle, they were incredibly short. I had to sort that out. And then they gave me a red coat that looked like Tommy Cooper had owned it. So I had massively short trousers and a massive coat, massive jacket. But they did sort that out in a few days' time. But it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And I think when you look back at, I mean, Cliff was a red coat. You know, it really has. It's where an awful lot of people learned their craft, I believe, and certainly for me, I think I definitely learned so much that summer season, and I'm sort of very grateful to the experience that brought me very, very early on.
Wow. Now, you have done a lot of panto work. What's the best panto you've done? Has any of your shows gone wrong at all?
Oh God, blimey, there's loads of things that have gone wrong. But yeah, I've done pantomime since, I mean, my first pantomime was 1989 at the Hazlitt Theatre in Maidstone. And then over the years, up until not Christmas Just Gone, no pantomime, but the 2 Christmases ago, I played Hook. I played Smee to Marty Pello's Hook. But for the last sort of 4 or 5 years, yeah, I played Captain Hook, and I loved playing Captain Hook. But a strange thing happened to me at the 3 years ago. I was doing pantomime in Northampton, and my Captain Hook was very much like that old kind of mate. He was like a London villain, you know, and I had a bandana and scars, and you know, it was a very rock and roll Captain Hook. But 2 nights before we finished in Northampton, I got a call from Michael Harrison, producer, and he told me that Jimmy Osmond, and I know the Osmond family very well, so it was very close to my heart, that Jimmy had been taken very ill, had a stroke on stage, and they asked if I would go and take over. So I said, well, how are we going to do this? I don't finish here till Sunday. They went, we want to get you on by Thursday matinee. And I'm like, what? So I went down Monday morning. It was a completely new script, all new songs, and most importantly, it was a completely different character, because I was working opposite an amazing comic called Matt Slack, and he's quite London, and he's from Devon, but he sounds quite London. And so they said the London hook is not going to work because it's going to clash with Matt. So I said, what do you want me to do? So Michael said, go away for an hour and watch Dustin Hoffman in Hook and play it like that. So that's what I did, and incredibly, I managed to get on Thursday matinee. And I would say, for obviously for the personal reasons, for standing in for Jimmy, but it was the best pantomime I've ever been in. Birmingham Hippodrome, and I did a month there, and it was absolutely magical. You know, we had a crocodile, 250 grand crocodile, hydraulically kind of controlled, that went out over the. I mean, I had a big ship that was hydraulically put out over the dress circle with me on it.
Wow.
So it was absolutely. It was such, you know, huge budget. Kudos, obviously, amazing.
Yeah, the biggest company.
Yeah,
biggest company. Kudos.
Yeah, you know, I've been lucky enough to work with Kudos for many times. But so for me, that one because it genuinely, I think, production value wise, was the best pantomime I've ever been in. but also because of the, sort of the personal connection with being able to go in and replace a friend. But it was incredible. It was amazing. I got nominated for Best Panto Baddie. I got beaten, but I was beaten by someone who I think it was the first time I've ever been rooting for the competition in an award ceremony. But Robert Lindsay, the great Robert Lindsay, who I am absolutely a massive, massive fan of, he won. And I asked if I could present the award to him, even though I'd lost out to him, which I did do. And I made a speech. And but a lot of good things came from Birmingham. And so I think for me, that pantomime will always reign as the most special I've done.
What was it like performing at the Birmingham Hippodrome, performing to thousands of people every single night? Your heart must have been thumping.
Yeah, I mean, there are, within the industry, there are the sort of theatres that you place, like when the tour's being put together, it's a big tour, there are the theatres that they kind of perceive to be sort of number one theatres. And the Birmingham Hippodrome is definitely one of my favourites ever. I had worked there before, but I'd done a week with a show. But to be sort of settled there for a month, 2 shows a day, it was brilliant. And Matt Slack, he's phenomenal. I mean,
Birmingham Panto favourite.
Well, he is, but I have to say that man is. I don't think I've ever seen a comic better than him. And he was so incredibly generous to me, on stage and off, because it must have been difficult for him, particularly because a lot of the stuff was with Hook. It must have been difficult for him literally halfway through the run to then have this new guy come in. And because I couldn't do the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because I was learning it, the understudy went on. So within a week, Matt had worked with 3 different Hooks, with Jimmy, with Luke, who went on, and then me. But he just adapted to anything and everything that was thrown at him. He's brilliant. And it will always be my favourite. Always be my favourite pantomime, definitely.
If you ever get asked to go back to the Birmingham Hippodrome and do the pantos, would you go back?
God, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There are some, the one that actually falls very close second was 2016. I played Hook at the Bradford Alhambra with the great Billy Pearce. Now, Bill and I have known each other since around 1994, something like that. But obviously, like Matt Slack is Birmingham, Billy is Bradford. I mean, the Bradford pantomime at the Alhambra is Billy Pearce. And so to get the opportunity to work at the Alhambra in panto with Billy, that was a huge honor for me, because I think he is I just think he's such an undiscovered talent, Bill, really, because I just feel like he should have been up there with people like my pal Brian Connolly. I just think he should have, Bobby Davro, those kind of people. He never quite made that profile, but he is amazing, Bill. So that falls a very close second, the Bradford Alhambra, to the Hippodrome in Birmingham. Yeah.
Wow. Now you were part of a musical comedy stand-up. A comedy called Stand-Up with Lionel Blair and Billy Pearce.
Yeah.
What was it like working with 2 legends of entertainers?
Amazing. I mean, I have to admit that Lionel's daughter and I went out together many, many years ago. So I knew Lionel, to the point where, I used to go around for Sunday roasts and stuff. So I knew Lionel anyway, and I knew Billy anyway. But to get the opportunity to work with them, and Lionel, both of them really, because I mean, Billy, I'm pretty sure in saying Billy was 70 recently. I don't know if that's true, but I think he's close to it. I don't know. Have I just really put him? Have I put him at much more than he is? I hope I haven't. But anyway, Lionel, I'm sure Lionel was around 80. And he did this incredible tap routine. And he didn't save it for the audience. You know, every single time we got to that point in rehearsals, Lionel would go for it. And he was phenomenal. I mean, we applauded him at every rehearsal because his energy and enthusiasm was so infectious, you know, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant to work with them both on that. And it was lovely to sort of work on a sort of, it was, you know, like a musical play, really. There was a plot going on, and I'd never done anything like that with those guys. So yeah, it was, I really enjoyed it. It didn't actually do that well box office wise, if I'm honest, but it was a really good show. And it was great to get the opportunity to work with those guys and hear Billy Pearce sing. I don't know if anyone has only ever seen Billy do pantomime and comedy, his voice is phenomenal. He is an incredible singer. I used to stand in the wings and watch and listen to him sing his ballad every night, and just think, wow, amazing. But listen, Adam, I've been very lucky, mate. I've done some shows that have been dream moments. You know, I mean, that bit that you showed earlier with Cliff, I didn't, when I invited him up, I didn't think he would come on that first night of Summer Holiday. But as you can see, it wasn't like an official thing where someone took him backstage to come on from the wings. He jumped onto the stage. And moments like that, and moments like in We Will Rock You, in the finale, singing Bohemian Rhapsody with the cast on the first night, and the big curtain going out of the back, and Brian May and Roger Taylor coming forward, guitar and drums. And you're standing there singing Bohemian Rhapsody, looking at Brian and Roger thinking, I'm not sure it gets any better than this, you know? And still, even when I talk about those little moments, I go goosebumps because I feel incredibly lucky to have had those moments, you know? They've been magical.
Yes. Now, according to my research, in 1991, you did a video all about the classic nursery rhymes.
Oh, my God.
Now, I'm going to show you a little clip.
No, you're not.
Have a little look at this.
Oh, God.
Hello, I'm Darren Day. Welcome to a collection of my favourite nursery rhymes. Have a sing along with me if you want. And here's the first one, the one and only Humpty Dumpty.
Dear.
Wow. How old were you when you did that?
I'm more worried about the fact that I sounded like I'd sucked on a helium balloon just before I did that thing. Okay, so it was, I'd say 22, maybe 21, 22. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have much work on, if I'm honest, and I was asked to do this this nursery rhyme video. So it was 2 days. It was a booking of 2 days. The first day was in the recording studio, recording everything. And I can't remember how many, but you're talking about maybe 60, 65 nursery rhymes. And we had one session, and I was in the studio from about 11 in the morning till 3 a.m. the following morning. And it got a little bit like lockdown in there, really, for me and the writer and the producer and stuff. Because I mean, you sing one nursery rhyme after another for that many hours, you do start to get a bit, you know, stir crazy. So I did that day in the studio, and then I did that. So I wasn't actually sat on a farm fence, believe it or not. I was on, you know, in front of a green screen. But it's the one thing that I really cannot watch. My children find it absolutely hilarious. They've managed to track it down on YouTube, and they find it hilarious. And every now and again, they'll call me and leave me a message with one of the nursery rhymes playing. But when I look at that, I'm like, who is that guy? You know, my voice was so high. I mean, no wonder I had a bigger singing range back then. But I definitely think I sound like I'm on helium. It's a bit of a worry, really.
Generations of children will be learning all these nursery rhymes. I mean, my brother, he knows most of the nursery rhymes. He watches it, and he knows most of them. Absolutely brilliant.
It's absolutely amazing, mate. Honestly, I get every now and again, you know, someone on social media or at a stage door somewhere will bring out the. I mean, I did, you know, it's so long ago. I didn't make DVD. I was only on VHS, but someone will have it and go, oh, could you sign this? My little boy, my little girl, that's, you know, either now they're watching it or they watched it 20 years ago and they're now grown up. But it always comes back to haunt me, that one. But it does seem to, look, if the kids like it, then it's fine. But you know what it's like when you look back at yourself, like with, you know, younger and different fashions and hairstyles. It's really, it's really hard not to cringe, isn't it? You know.
Oh yes, absolutely. Now, another question I want to ask you is, what advice would you give to the younger generation who want to get into this entertainment industry?
Oh man, this was so much easier to answer back in the day, if you like, because you know what it's like, Adam. It's so different now, and the sort of the way that people come into the industry now is so different, with all the different shows and reality stuff that there are. But I do think that, you know, what I did at Butlins and what you're doing and what a lot of our pals are doing, I think the holiday camps, you know, if you want to do sort of the live stuff, like stand-up stuff, the holiday camps are a great place to go. Even if you want to do musical theatre, I think they're just a great grounding. But I never really know how to advise people now, because it's so long. When I came into the industry, it was a completely different ballgame. I think probably the biggest difference was social media. You know, there was no social media, and now there is. So people literally can kind of sneak into the industry via social media, whether it be, you know, podcasts or YouTubers. So I don't know how to answer it, because I think if I was coming into the industry now, I'm not sure I'd make it, really. It's a very, very tough. The competition is so vast now. Sort of back when I sort of first started, there were only a few sort of us of a certain age group and a certain genre that sort of got all the gigs. But now the casting directors and the producers, they have such a massive, vast range of choice that I don't know what to tell people. I wish I had a sort of magic answer, but I don't.
Now, you have done acting, you've done game show hosting, you've done singing. How would you compare them when you look back at them having done them all?
It's funny, the game show thing, because my little boy, I mean, literally 4 days ago, he tracked down this little clip on YouTube of me doing a show called You Bet, which was my Saturday night show in the sort of mid-90s. And he sent me this little, oh my God, okay, yeah, there I am. I was about to say he sent me this clip where, again, I cringed at the hair and the very cheesy grin. But yes, that was, so I watched a little bit of that for the first time in God knows how many years. I really loved doing it. I loved it. It was such a, you know, I mean, still now, you know, Saturday night is massive. You know, Ant and Dec's Takeaway, the huge shows. And I felt really honoured to get the opportunity to be a Saturday night kind of host. But God, over the years, you know, I've done straight plays, I've done films, I've done musicals, sitcoms, recording. I mean, I've been so lucky to do it all. And I do love camera acting. I got bitten by the bug of that a few years ago when I played a villain on Hollyoaks. But nothing will have that feeling of musical theatre and live entertainment, I think, because it's that immediacy of the reaction you get from the audiences, which is amazing. You know, and if you do, let's say you do a drama or a series of some kind, you record it, it sits on the shelf, and, you know, all the editing done for a few months, and then it goes out. So you sort of don't know, for so long, you don't know how that is going to be received, how your performance is going to be received by the public, by the media. But with a live show, obviously, you know, you get that immediacy of the reaction from the audience and probably a review the next day. So you sort of know instantly how it has been received by the media and the public. And so I think that's what I've missed most, really, is the live performing. I know I mentioned to you very quickly off camera before we started. No, I am going back to theatre in August, and I feel so incredibly fortunate and blessed, really, to, especially in the current climate, have a year's worth of work with two different shows, two great shows, and two really, really great roles. And when you're sort of doing musical theatre all the time, and I pretty much did the schedule of over 7 to 10 years, I would literally finish a show in the West End or touring on the Saturday night after a few months of doing it. And then I would literally start rehearsals on the Monday for the next show. I was incredibly lucky for so many years. But when you're doing that 8-show a week schedule all the time, it can get tiring, you know. But because I've not done it for so long, I'm so excited about that whole schedule of, you know, you get in at 6, you've got your vocal warm-up, your physical warm-up, half-hour call, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to love it this time. Love it, one, because it's a different episode in my life, and I'm much more content. But after the dreadful, dreadful year that we've all had, and for people in our industry, the work, you know, theatres, you know, sort of no work whatsoever, I think I am going to appreciate every single moment on stage, you know, and I think that's how, I really do think that's how we're all going to be, whether we're an audience member or a cast member or one of the creative team or backstage. And one of my producer mates said a wonderful thing to me a couple of weeks ago, which I really like. And he said, when this is all over, he said, I think it's going to be like the Roaring '20s, you know, where entertainment and, you know, that kind of entertainment and all that stuff that goes with it, I think it will thrive. I think theatres will thrive. Let's hope that they do. But I do believe that we're just all going to be so grateful for getting back to some kind of normality. And I think really, and certainly people who contact me on social media, they really miss live entertainment. They miss being able to book for the big shows. And I think now that it's getting close to that happening again, certainly the announcement for the 2 shows that I'm doing is going to be happening at the end of April. I just think it's going to be so exciting for us all. So, you know, let's hope it does do that. Let's hope we go, but, you know, everything thrives after this absolute nightmare we've all been through.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You just want to get back on stage, doing jobs we absolutely love, performing to thousands of people every single night. I mean, I'm a holiday park entertainer in Skeg, and we do nights after night. We do 40 hours a week over 6 days. It's tiring, but I absolutely love the job. I've done the job now for 3 years.
That's amazing. Yeah. But I obviously I bump into you, you know, I bump into you guys when I do, you know, when I come and do the gigs and stuff. And I always thought, man, it's not an easy gig, is it? Because you kind of have to wear 2 hats to some degree. You know what I mean? But I always have absolute great admiration for you guys, because and also it's the thing is, like, particularly with entertainment, I'm sure if someone's not happy, don't they come and complain to you? Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. So yeah, no, I think it's brilliant what you do, mate. I really do. I've great admiration for you, and there's nothing quite like loving what you do, is there, Adam?
Oh, no, there's not.
To love going to work, I think it's one of the great kind of challenges of life. If you can find a job that you really genuinely enjoy, then happy days, you know. And I know that I'm definitely going to enjoy and appreciate my time on stage in the future so much more than I ever have, you know. So really looking forward to getting back to work. Yeah.
Now, you were on the ITV show I'm a Celebrity, if I remember rightly. Now, what was your experience of that? How did you find it?
Oh my God! So
I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot here.
No, I don't mind, mate. It's fine. We were the guinea pigs because it was the first show. It was the first ever series, 2002. one by one, 8 of us were taken into ITV and were told about this. Well, for us then, obviously, you know, it's such a well-known format now. But then, when you're sat in ITV being told that you're going to be dropped in the jungle with 7 other celebrities, and you're gonna there's going to be a live show transmitted back to the UK every day about your shenanigans in the jungle for 2 weeks. I thought it was a wind-up to begin with. I thought, I wonder if this is like a newspaper, like tabloid, trying to see how desperate these 8 celebrities are for work. And so they give you this crazy idea and you agree to it, and then you're told that it's a wind-up. But of course, it wasn't a wind-up, and has gone on to become one of the biggest shows ever. I hated it. I hated it. I absolutely hated every single second of that 2 weeks in the jungle. But it wasn't a great time for me, really, if I'm going to lay my cards on the table. I wasn't in a great place. And I have always looked back on that with huge regret of how I portrayed myself, really. And that really is the reason why I agreed to do Celebrity Big Brother in 2016. I don't know if I'd have agreed to do that had it not been for my regrets with I'm a Celebrity. But, you know, look, I'm the guy that lived his life like I did is well in the past. And I do look back, not just on haircuts and hairstyles and fashion, but at my behavior and cringe quite a lot. And so because life is very, very different for me now, you know, I'm not a party boy anymore. I do my best to be the best dad I can be, the best partner I can be. I thought I would love for the British public and the British media, I just wanted the opportunity to show them where I was at now, because so many headlines I still read, even though I'd been out of the crazy stuff for a long time. It was still, the headlines were still sort of almost like it was me then, not me now. And I just thought, I can't change people's perception. You know, people think of me what they will, but I thought it is a great opportunity just to let the media and the public see where I'm at now and make a judgment upon who I am now, as opposed to the crazy boy from way back. And that was obviously, that for me, that laid the ghost to rest of I'm a Celebrity, because Celebrity Big Brother went like a dream for me. And I am so grateful to it, because I think a lot of people who kind of remember me from the old headlines, I think they sort of, you know, I think their opinion shifted a bit. You know, look, no, you know, you can't get everyone to like you. That's never going to happen. But I know that, you know, at stage doors and in the street for months and months after that, and even up to today, really, people will come up and say, I wasn't quite sure about you when I read about you and stuff, but you really changed my opinion in Celebrity Big Brother. And I can't tell you, Anna, I can't tell you how much that actually, the comments like that mean to me, because I'm one of those people. I always think there's the McCartneys and the Lennons in life. The McCartneys really like to be liked. The Lennons really don't care whether they're liked or not, which I have such admiration for. But unfortunately, I'm a McCartney. And so I like people to like me. And it was very tough for a lot of years where there were these dreadful headlines. And don't get me wrong, I loaded the journalists' guns on so many occasions. But I wanted people to sort of like me again, as shallow as that may sound. And it went incredibly well for me. It's 31 days of hell, really. And you have that, you know, each eviction night that you're not evicted on, you have that moment of, oh, wow, that's amazing. The public have kept me in, which is an incredible feeling. And that's closely followed by, oh, my God, I've got another 5 days in here now. But to come in the top 3 on that show, which is primarily kind of voted for by a young generation, I was incredibly flattered, and it did open me up to, it has opened me up to a younger audience of sort of a different generation who now recognise me. So I feel like Big Brother redeemed I slightly redeemed myself from the absolute idiot who was in the jungle. Yeah, hopefully.
Wow. Now, what was the? Have you been on many cruise ships? What was the best cruise ship you performed on? What was it like performing to thousands of people every single night on the cruise ship?
Love the cruise ships, Adam. I've always been a great sort of support of. I know that there was a time. I don't think it really is like that now, and I can't remember if it was a comment from Simon Cowell or something, but I think there was quite a stigma from certain areas of the industry about cruise ships, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I think that was a way back. But people who have never been on a cruise ship or been to a show on a cruise ship, it's really difficult to explain to them just how big, and you know, it's like a floating world, isn't it? And the theatres on these big ships, they're like a West End theatre. You know, the set out of it, the 9-piece orchestra behind you, you know, the production values are incredible. And I've always loved playing them. I think probably my favorites were, I used to do a gig on the Britannia for P&O. They have a little venue on there called the Limelight Club, which is like a little supper club. It's sort of kind of going back to the days of those little supper clubs, cabarets and stuff. And it's very up close and personal, you know. So I did that. I really enjoyed doing that. And then at the other end of the scale of, you know, of spaces and audiences and the whole setup of production, the Independence of the Seas for Royal Caribbean is phenomenal. And the theatre of all the theatres on the ships, definitely for me, the theatre on the Independence of the Seas, Royal Caribbean, my favorite, incredible. And I also really love the entertainment manager on that, cruise director on that. So, but they're amazing. I mean, have you been on a MAD? Because I don't think people can appreciate that. You know, like it's like they've got a street, haven't they? They've got like that kind of street on a ship. Yes. And I just think people who have never done it, they don't realise just what it's like. It's a phenomenal experience. And I've always loved playing them, mate. Yeah.
I would love to go on a cruise ship. I've never performed on one, but I would love to. I would absolutely would.
You should definitely.
It's an experience. It's an experience you'll never forget.
Yeah. I mean, how would you fancy the cruise director's job on a cruise ship?
Being a cruise director.
Yeah, you know, like it's like an entertainment manager. Like you'd be in control of it, and you get to do a little spot and stuff. But if you get,
I would love to. I honestly would.
It is amazing, you know. And again, I have such respect for those guys. And but when you get the chance, mate, you should definitely, even if it's just going on and performing, you should definitely do that because, and you've got like, well, literally, haven't you? You've literally got a captive audience because there's nothing else for them to do. It's not like they can, you know, they can't swim to shore really. So the audiences are brilliant, you know. It's a real buzz to play those kind of gigs. Yeah, you've got to go.
Yes, absolutely. You definitely have to. Now, going back to the West End. Now, you have probably seen many different shows there. What's the best show you've seen at the West End, and would you recommend it?
Best show as opposed to have been in?
Yes.
Sunset Boulevard.
Why Sunset Boulevard?
I went to see it mid-90s, I suppose. I think I was doing Copacabana at that time. But I went to see Sunset. I think I was at the opening night maybe, and then I went to see another matinee, and my mate John Barrowman was in it at that point. And I just sat there and I thought, this is absolutely the best Andrew Lloyd Webber show I'd ever seen. It was like a film on stage. It was so filmic. It was like watching a movie on stage, and I'd never seen anything. The way the sets changed and everything, it was phenomenal. And I so wanted to play Joe Gillis, so much. And I was in talks with them a couple of times, but it never worked out timing wise. But also my mate Don Black wrote the lyrics for it, and I think he's just one of the most incredible lyricists in the world. But the two of those guys together, Don Black with his lyrics to Andrew Lloyd Webber's music, I just thought it was phenomenal. And it's always been, if someone said what was the part that got away, it would definitely be Joe Gillis. I am far too old to play that now. There would have to be a huge space between the stage and the first row. I'd have to be seen from a distance to get away with anything like near the age that Joe Gillis.
Wow. Now, another question I'm going to ask you is, if your career had not taken the entertainment path, what job would you have done and why?
Snooker player. I would have snuck to snooker. No, that stuck to snooker. It was my passion. The only thing that dragged, that sort of pulled me away from it was this industry. And I don't think there's nothing else that would or could have dragged me away from it. I think, as I said earlier, my grandfather was vaudeville act, and as a kid, he used to show me all the billboards, and he showed me this billboard that he had, with Laurel and Hardy, and I am such a huge Laurel and Hardy fan. And so I guess I always, at that time, I thought, well, it's in the blood, isn't it? And so, there's no question. Once I got bitten by the bug of performing on stage and showbiz, I naturally turned my back on snooker then. But I don't think there's anything else that would have dragged me away. I think I would have stayed and done my absolute best to be world champion at some point. I'm not sure that would have ever happened, but I would have definitely stayed with snooker. Even got a waistcoat on, just ready all the time for it.
Playing snooker with Ronnie O'Sullivan. I can see you doing that.
Yeah, man. And I do know Ronnie. I was at the Crucible a few years ago when he became world champion. But sort of my pals, you're going to be far too young to know any of these guys, but Dennis Taylor and John Virgo and Willie Thornblessing, who passed away. But those kind of guys, Jimmy White, these were sort of legendary players back in the 80s when I was playing. And they're all mates of mine now. So now they all come and see my theatre shows. Dennis Taylor came to see me do Grease with his family. So I do stay in touch with them all, and I do still love a frame. I do love watching it. And I've still got the queue I've got upstairs, I've had since I was 15 years old. And it's still that queue that I had as a 15-year-old snooker player. So there's a little part of me that always wonders if I'd have managed to make the big time. I don't know, but anyway, I'm very happy with the way that my career went. I'm happy to leave the queue in its case now.
I can see you going on Big Break with Jim Davidson and John Berger and trying one of them trick shots that John does. Yeah,
I did do that in around 1997. Which was the generation game thing we talked about Bobby the other week. And it was it's kind of known-ish within the industry that I was a pro. So they've got me on thinking that I'm going to be, I'm going to play to a professional standard, but as a so-called celebrity, I couldn't put a ball at them. I literally was the most rubbish on a snooker table that I'd ever been in my entire life. And it was quite embarrassing in the end. I don't think I potted a ball. I was absolutely useless. But I think it was that pressure, the fact that I knew certainly that Jim and John Virgo on the show, these guys knew that I was a pro. And I think I felt pressure too much.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty dismal.
Now, I see you are close friends with the late and great Dale Winton. Do you have any memories of working with Dale?
Oh, mate, what a lovely picture! And it's Wendy Richards in the middle as well. So I think it's Wendy. If I haven't got my glasses on, and if it is, then obviously both of those are no longer with us. But do you know what, mate? Dale was just one of the loveliest guys, and what I liked most about Dale is he was just so humble, and he was so he was so excited and appreciative and grateful for, for what happened to him. With Supermarket Sweep, I mean, he just nailed that, and he was incredible. I think his rise to fame was a really, really special one, and he was so nice. And I do remember he recommended a very good eye cream for wrinkles that I still use. So, thank you, mate.
Wow, absolutely fantastic. Darren, it's been an absolute honour to have you on the show. I'm very grateful to be interviewing you. Thank you so much for joining me. Do you have any questions that you would like to ask me?
All I would like to say is that thank you so much for the lovely things that you've said, because I don't take...
You're very welcome.
I don't take anything for granted these days, and I'm very flattered if someone rates what I do, and I know you're in the industry, and so it was an honour for me being on your show as well. I appreciate everything you've said, and hopefully we'll hook up once the zombie apocalypse is all over.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, a big thank you to the great Darren Day. Thank you so much.
All the best. Much love.
Thank you so much. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the end of today's podcast. A big thank you to the one and only Darren Day. Thank you so much. So enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and I'll be back very, very soon for more podcasts. From me, your host, Adam. Goodbye.